Hi everyone, Brian from Bear Bull Traders here. Sunday, February 21st. And we're almost through the second month of the year. We've got 1 week to go. So let's see how the week is going to shape up here. We've got Fed Powell, who's going to be doing his, I believe it's a semi-annual presentation meeting with the banking committee. So that'll be interesting. See if he has anything new to say. I kind of doubt it. And we've got some earnings coming up that are looking pretty interesting. Let's kick things off with that here. We've got NVIDIA. This will be interesting. This is later in the week. I guess that would be Wednesday after the market close. Tuesday, Square's been on a tear, in part because of the Bitcoin thing, and Bitcoin's up again with a lot of the other cryptos that seem to be making a move here. Everybody's talking about them, trading them. And you got CRM, and of course, Home Depot, big retailer, coming up on Tuesday afternoon, or before the market actually. Melly, Etsy, another sort of semi-retailer, online retailer. Moderna, Palo Alto Networks, security company. And Royal Caribbean, Beyond the Meat, as we like to call it in the room. And yeah, lots of kind of interesting companies reporting this week. So that'll provide for a little bit of entertainment, I'm sure. So let's kick things off here and start looking at the markets, the way they traded last week. And of course, now the mainstream media are all talking about inflation and interest rates, been flagging this for a little while here. And you can see here, this is the TLT, which is the price of bonds, 20-year bond. You can see here it's been pretty much dropping precipitously right from the beginning of the year. We really started to break down. And of course, when the price of bonds go down, the yields are going up. We are getting pretty oversold here. I'm actually got a little alert in here just to see if we get to 142. I might play that for a bounce. We are really on the stochastics here, really oversold. MACD is still heading lower. RSI showing quite oversold. So yeah, be looking maybe for a bounce at some point. Of course, this is the yield curve, and you can see here we're just, as the TLT showed us, we're just blasting off higher, and we're getting a little bit extended to the upside. So expecting a bit of a pullback, but trend is still upwards. And again, this is the 10-year treasury. You can see here on the daily, again, we finished up on the day. It looks like, according to the futures, we're up again. So, and this is the weekly candles. Of course, we're just breaking out here. So yield's still on the rise. And of course, the one trade I've got on that's really benefiting from this is the KRE. It's the regional bank ETF. It's, if you'd have played that with XLF, of course, that still would have been good. But as yields rise, so do the bank stocks. Generally speaking, good for them. So let's get into the some of the indexes we look at. Transports, always like to look at that, kind of a leading indicator. And you can see here Friday, what a strong day we had. A little bit off the high, but again on volume, or still a little bit more volume than we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks, or days, I should say, on a daily chart. Let's take a look at it on a weekly basis. Again, there it is, all-time high, breaking out. Volume actually on the week declined quite a bit, but then again, it was a short week last week, so we were short one day on the week. But transport's still indicating that there's strength in the market. So do the indicators that we watch. On the Dow, the daily, bit of an indecision candle, actually almost a reversing candle here. We did break to a new high and then sold off throughout the day and into the close. We were pretty close to the low of the day. Average type volume. Nothing really here except we seem to be flattening out. Here's the Dow on the weekly. Again, bit of an indecision candle. Doji, sort of a spinning top here. Lower volume, but again, can't read into that because of the shortened work week. The Qs were off on the day. Let's take a look at the weekly. You can see here we're off on the week. So I think the Qs may be showing some weakness here, although the trend is still upwards. We're still well above the the 20, the 50, the 200, they're all still trending up. Volume started to pick up a little bit on the weekly here. So we may be making a bit of putting in a bit of a top, maybe just going to start to consolidate on the Qs. The SPY, again, down on Friday on volume, no less. On the week, we were down only 0.66 of a 2/3 of a percent on the week, so not a big deal. We've been having all these little pullbacks here on this trend up, so nothing to read into really. Stochastics, MACD, RSI all still look pretty solid. So, and the IWM has had a pretty big pullback here. It had a nice day on Friday off the high of the day, but on volume, that buying, and see how we did on the weekly. The weekly, again, we were off just shy of 1% on the week. But again, we've just had this thing has just been on a run, an incredible run. We're well extended from these moving averages. It'd be almost surprising to see us continue to go higher without at least some kind of consolidation and pullback. So again, we're still in a solid uptrend. Don't really see anything that's concerning yet, other than we're just watching the yields continue to go higher. And at some point, as I keep saying, that is going to matter, but maybe not next week or even into March. We'll see if they continue to go higher. So the dollar off quite a bit on Friday. Again, we seem to be chopping in a range here. If the dollar gets weaker, we'll probably see some strengthening in materials, which I think is going to be one of the plays I'm going to look at here a little later on. And Bitcoin is just ripping here as well. It's probably going to go through 60,000, I'm guessing, early this week, maybe as early as Monday. I'm almost thinking Bitcoin, I had kind of a thought that Bitcoin is the new gold. Gold has not been doing very well, not really been performing very well. Maybe some of this money that people have considered gold as a safe haven, maybe now they're starting to think that Bitcoin is really the place to be for the safe haven. It's the gold of the 21st century. So maybe that's where things are going. So yeah, kind of an interesting thought. So let's take a look at a couple things that I do have on watch here. I'm looking at ATNX. It's had a pretty significant pullback. I've been watching it pull back more. It's down to the 200-day moving average, so I'm thinking maybe here would be a good time maybe to take an entry on it. I'd be looking at the $12 level as a place where I'd probably take a stop somewhere around there. But it did hold the 200, and maybe we'll get a bounce. We're getting really oversold here on the stochastics, and the only thing I'm concerned about is RSI is continuing to head lower here. So something to keep an eye on. Tomorrow I'll be watching that. BCRX, actually I took a little bit of a long on BCRX. It does seem to be breaking out. I'm still going to stay long this. Volume's been not bad. MACD is turning up here. Stochastics are going higher, so I think BCRX actually looks pretty good here. OLN I was looking at because it actually, it did a bit of a breakout here, pulled back. So you can see here, this is a very classic breakout, pullback to the prior level where it broke out from. You can see here, this would have been the resistance, double top here. And then we had a bit of a breakout, pulled back, retested this level, this 28 level, and now we're going higher. So I think a better entry would have been back at the 28 level, obviously. So we'll be watching that tomorrow, and maybe if you get a bit of a pullback at the open, get an opportunity to get into it. And it looks like it is going to go higher here. Stochastics are coming down a little bit, so MACD is heading back up. RSI is looking good. Yeah, so OLN may be a decent trade here. PLTR, of course, we played this. We've been day trading this. Had quite a sell-off here. Found support right at where you would have expected it to. All this area where it had prior support, and bounced back up. So we had, I did a swing trade on this one, and over just an overnight hold, and then we day traded it on Friday, and lots of volume today. But Monday, I'm not really sure where we're going because we're back up into an area where there's prior resistance, and that's, of course, where we rejected from here. So keeping an eye on that, we may just churn with that one. Silver really stuck in a range here, kind of keeping an eye on this one. Got an alert for sort of 25.50. If we do break out, and it would have to close above there too for me to get really interested. Twitter, I was kind of looking at it as a possible short. You've got a double top put in here, so maybe you could either, sell the 75 calls, maybe buy some further calls up here to protect yourself. Maybe buy a put and then sell another put a little bit further down. But I was looking at this as a possible options trade or just a straight short trade possibly. So I had a bit of a sell-off day today, or Friday I should say. We were up just a hair on the day, but well off the high again. 75 was the high of the day, and you can see here that was the high at this previous candle back on the 16th, and then we had the high on Friday. Again, trying to get through 75, couldn't do it. So maybe a bit of a double top here, and selling on volume. We're really oversold or overbought on all these indicators. So looking at Twitter as a possible short. Unity, I was looking at Unity, possible long here. So we've got a prior level where we broke out from. Here was a resistance, and then we broke out from resistance, and then we've had this pullback. It didn't do a classic sort of breakout, pullback, and then go pattern. It kind of just kept going. So now we finally come back and retested this level. So this could be a level where it'll probably hold and maybe bounce from. So we had a decent day Friday, so I'll be watching you. XLE, did get into a little bit of this. I'm really late on it. I really should have been back. I kind of flagged it back here, or when it was just starting to move up, but I didn't take the trade. I did take an XLF trade back here, or not with KRE, not XLF, and it's worked out well. Here's one I haven't taken yet, but I'm looking at XEME, which is metals and mining. I think that's probably the area where money's going to start to flow into, particularly if the US dollar continues to weaken and, recovery trade, etc. So XME I'll be watching next week. It did kind of break out here on the Friday, and it's looking like it wants to go higher. So that's everyone. That's it, everyone. We're going to wrap things up here. So looks like trend is still in place. We still look like we're in an uptrend, but I think things are getting a little bit, how should we say, everything's overbought, and so I'm not expecting a huge pullback next week, but we could end up doing a fair amount of chop, maybe just some consolidation with the markets, and yeah, watching some of the high flyers like Neo and Blink Charging and stuff, they seem to be struggling up here at these levels, so we may have some weakness in those alternate energy and EV stocks, continued weakness there. But again, trend is still your friend, and trend is still higher. I think the markets are still expecting lots of liquidity, lots of money, lots more money coming into the system. So I think that's sort of putting in a floor underneath the market. So if there are any sell-offs, I'm not expecting a big crash, at least not in the next week or two. So that's it. This is my book on Amazon, How to Swing Trade, if you haven't checked it out yet. So there it is, and we'll look forward to seeing you if you're going to join us in the room in the morning. 8:30 pre-market show starts live on YouTube as well, and then we'll be trading the market open at 9:30. Hope to see you all there. Have a great rest of the weekend or evening, everybody, and yeah, maybe see you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.